She told me she was going out with her sister, but I saw her holding hands with her ex at a bar. So on her birthday, I gave her divorce papers instead of a gift. My name is Ethan, I'm 31, and I never thought I would be writing about the day my marriage ended. My wife, Laura, had always been charming, funny, and attractive, and I loved her deeply. But there was something I didn't know about her until that night. I had planned a small surprise dinner for us, hoping to celebrate her achievements and just enjoy a normal evening together. I expected smiles, laughter, and maybe a toast to our life. Instead, I walked into a scene that broke me inside. I saw her sitting at a bar, laughing and talking to someone. At first, I thought it was just a friend, but then I saw them hold hands. My heart stopped. My mind couldn't process it. I stood there for a moment, unsure if I should approach or leave. They were close, too close. It was my wife, the woman I trusted, holding hands with her ex-boyfriend. Someone I knew she had always said was in the past. The way they smiled at each other, the touch that should have been between me and her. It hurt more than I ever thought possible. I turned around without a word and left. I didn't shout. I didn't confront. I just knew that something fundamental had changed. The next day was her birthday. I had planned to celebrate her, but instead, I prepared something she would never forget. I placed the divorce papers in a nice envelope and wrapped it with a small birthday bow. It was my gift, the truth. That morning, I saw her happy face, smiling and unaware of what was waiting. When I handed her the envelope, her smile faded, and she opened it slowly, reading every word. I said nothing. There was no need. The silence spoke louder than any argument ever could. I walked away, leaving her with the reality of her choices, and finally felt the first flicker of relief I had experienced in months. After that day, life was quiet. Laura tried calling, texting, and messaging me, hoping I would respond. I saw her efforts, but I ignored them. I didn't need to hear her excuses or justifications. I knew what I saw, and I knew what she did. Instead, I focused on myself, my friends, and my work. Slowly, the hurt became less sharp, and I began to realize how much I had grown stronger by not chasing someone who didn't respect me. I learned that trust, honesty, and loyalty are not negotiable. If they are broken, there is no going back without damage. Months later, I felt a sense of peace. I walked past places that reminded me of her, and the memories no longer made me angry or sad. They became lessons about love, respect, and boundaries. I learned that being with someone who chooses drama and lies over you is not love. It's a test of self-worth, and choosing yourself is always the right answer. On her next birthday, I thought about that envelope, the divorce papers, and how it symbolized my choice to put myself first. That day, I smiled, because I knew I would never be trapped in that pain again. I learned that real strength comes from walking away, from closing the door on someone who never appreciated you, and from refusing to let anyone treat you as a backup plan. My heart was free, my mind was clear, and my life belonged to me. And though she might regret her actions one day, I knew I had made the right choice. Some people choose drama, lies, and excitement over love. I chose peace, respect, and myself. That decision changed everything. After handing her the divorce papers, I didn't immediately leave the house. I sat quietly for a few minutes, watching her as she struggled to process what had just happened. Her eyes were wide, filled with a mix of shock, confusion, and maybe even regret. But I didn't move closer. I didn't offer comfort. I realized then that any kindness from me would have been misplaced. I had given her years of trust, patience, and love, and she had chosen to betray that trust in the most personal, intimate way. I didn't need to explain my feelings anymore. The papers said it all. Every word, every line was the truth she needed to see. Not just the legal truth, but the emotional one she had forced me to confront. For the next few days, I avoided her calls and messages. At first, it was hard not to answer when my phone buzzed, hearing her voice asking for forgiveness or trying to explain her actions. But each time I reminded myself of that night at the bar, the hand-holding, the lies hidden behind her smile, and I knew I could never go back. I spent hours reflecting on my life, thinking about all the moments I had compromised, stayed silent, or ignored red flags because I loved her too much. Now, without her presence clouding my mind, I could see clearly how much energy I had wasted on someone who didn't deserve it. I began to focus on my own goals, my friends, and the small joys I had been missing while trapped in a relationship built on false promises. Weeks passed, and slowly the ache in my chest turned into a quiet strength. I started going out more, meeting friends, and doing things I had once loved but put aside for her. Each day reminded me that I didn't need validation from someone who couldn't respect me. The silence from her became a strange comfort, and the space she left behind allowed me to think clearly about what I truly wanted in life. I realized that love should never feel like a test, a game, or a constant struggle to prove your worth. I had given all of myself to someone who didn't value it, and now I had the chance to reclaim my life. Eventually, I stopped thinking about the what-ifs and could-have-beens. The pain and betrayal no longer defined me. They shaped me. I understood that walking away was not a loss but a gain of peace, clarity, and freedom. And in that freedom, I found myself smiling again, not because of her absence, but because of my presence in my own life. I was finally living for me, no longer trapped in a cycle of lies and disappointment. Every choice she made, every lie she told, and every betrayal she committed became a lesson that I would carry with me, guiding me to only accept honesty, loyalty, and respect from those who truly matter. And so, as I looked forward, I felt lighter, stronger, and more in control than ever before. The house, the memories, and even her presence had lost their power over me. I didn't need revenge, explanations, or apologies. I had already won. The only victory that mattered was taking back my life. I knew I would never allow anyone to hold me hostage with false promises or shallow words again. From that day on, I chose myself, and I knew that choosing myself meant choosing a life free from drama, betrayal, and unnecessary heartache. I finally understood that the hardest decisions often bring the greatest freedom.